Hello friends, welcome to Code Crush Coding. In the previous video we have learnt about the static variable. In this video we are going to learn about the static method. So whenever a method is declared using a static keyword, it is known as static method. So the most common example of a static method is the main method, because in the main method we use the keyword static. So why do we need to use the word static? So the main use of making the method as static is that whenever you need to call the method, you don't need to create the object of the method. The static method can directly called with the help of the class name. So let's understand the theory of the static method. So static method belongs to the class rather than the object. So no need to create the object to call the static method. We can directly access it by the class name. So there is no need to create the object to call the static methods. A static method can access and change the values of static variable. So whenever you have the static variables and you need to do some modifications to static variable, so they can be accessed by the static method. So let's understand in the practical implementation the static method. So here I have the class demo and the main method. So inside this class I will declare one instance variable and one static variable. So let's declare the two variables. Let's say int x, and the value of x is 5. Another variable we will declare int y, and value of y is 10. So both of these variables now are instance variable because they are declared inside the class but outside the method and constructor. So to make one of the variable static, I need to make use of static keyword. So let's make y as a static variable. So I will declare here static. So once I declare this variable y as static, it will be a static variable now, and inside this main method what I will do, I will create the object of this demo class. So how to create an object? With the help of class name, then the name of object, let's say obj. With the help of new keyword, you instantiate the object. So I will say here demo. So now the object is created. I will print these two values. So let's make use of sysout statement. Sysout, and with the help of object name obj.x, so I will be able to print the value of x here, and in the same way I can print the static variable as well. So let's print that, which is obj.y. Now let's run this code. So see, we are getting the value of x as 5 and y as 10. So both are accessible inside this main method. But the main difference I want to show you here is that instead of creating the object and trying to access the static variable, I can directly access the static variable with the help of class name. So if I replace this object with the class name, so see, I am not getting any error, and if I try to run this code, so see, I am able to print here 10. So even if I don't create the object, if I comment out this, so here you will see the error, because x is an instance variable and instance variable cannot be accessed by the class name. You need to create the object for instance variable, but that is not true for the static variable. Now what I will do, now in the class we will declare two methods, one a normal method and another one is a static method. So let's declare a method. So I will say a public access modifier, then the return type, let's say void, and let's say show. It doesn't take any parameter, we will just print here the statement sysout, and we will print the values of x and y here. So let's say x, and then we will print here plus x, and in same way you will print the value of y. So here I will print y and y. So let's comment this part here. We will not print in the main method now. And now we will also create a static method. So how to create a static method? All the syntax will remain same, just you need to make use of static keyword. So here I need to say access modifier, which is public, then the static keyword, then the return type. So return type here is void, and then the name of method, which is display. So this display method will also not take any parameters, and we will provide the implementation. So what we will do, we will also print these two variables again here. Let's copy this inside the static method as well. So see, here we are getting an error. What error we are getting here? We cannot access the instance variable, means the normal variable, which is our x, inside the static method. Why? Because it is cannot make a static reference to the non-static field. As it is a static method, it can only access the static variable. It cannot access the non-static variable, that we have seen in the theory here as well. So a static method can access and change the value of static variable. It cannot access the instance variable. So I will need to remove this part here, and let's say we change the value of y here. So let's say y now becomes 15. Initially it was 10, and we will print here value of y. Now also what we will do, we will print here normal. So this is a normal method implementation, and this one is the static implementation. And now we will call these two methods. So first thing, to access a normal method, you need to have the object. So this is a normal method, right? Void show. So here you need to make use of object. So I will say here obj dot show. And for the second method, you can access by the object as well, and with the help of class name, because static method can be accessed by the class name as well. So let's first access it by the object. So if you access it with object, it will be accessible. Display. So see, there is no error here. Now save it and run. So see the output here. So what output we are getting? In the first method, when we are printing obj.show, then we have the two print statement, value of x and y. So initially x is 5 and y is 10, right? So we are able to get this, and inside the static we are changing the static variable value, which is 15, and printing as 15. Now instead of calling by object, you can directly call with the help of class name. So my class name is demo. So see, there is no error, means it can be accessed by the class name. Still we are getting the output. So that is the main difference between a static variable, static method, and instance variables. Also one thing here, as the main method is a static, so that's why it was able to access our static variable as well. So we will see why the main method is static in the next questions. So before that, moving towards the next question, what is the purpose of static methods and variables? So the method or variable defined as static are shared among all the objects of the class. So as we have seen in the previous video as well, while making the number of count of objects created inside the class, that particular static variable was shared among all the objects. Let me show you that also. So see here, we have the class example. Inside this we have one static variable count, which is initialized to 0, and inside the constructor we are just incrementing the count value. So whenever the object will be created, the constructor is called. So when the first object is created, the value of count will be incremented to 1. So that's why, let me run this code. So that's why we will able to get the value as 1. When the second object will be created, now the value of count is 1, so it will be incremented to 2. So that thing you need to remember. It always get the updated value, because it is a single copy which is shared among all the objects of the class if the variable is static. The static is part of the class and not of the object, that we have seen. We can access the static variable as well as method by the class name instead of objects. Static variables are stored in the class area, and we do not need to create the object to access such variables. As they are stored at the class level, we can access them by the class name. Therefore static is used in the case where we need to define variable or methods which are common to all the objects. So whenever you have a requirement where the variables or method does not belong to a particular object and they belong to all the objects, then in that case you can use the static variable and methods. So that was the theory about the static method and variables. Now the next question, what is the static block? So I think we have already covered this question in the one of the interview questions video. Let's cover one more time. So static block is used to initialize the static data members. It is one of the use of static block which is used to initialize the static data member. Also it is executed before the main method at the time of class loading. So this is the important point whenever the interviewer asks you whether it is possible to execute the code before the main method. So it is possible. Whatever code written inside the static block will be executed before the main method. Let me show you in the demo here. Let me remove all this part here. We will make main as empty. Also our class, let's make it empty. So see, this is the main method. Inside this main method I will print one sys out. Let's say main method. Now if I run this code, what will be the output? It will print this message, right? Main method. So see, main method. And if I declare a static block here, static, so which is declared with the help of static keyword, and inside this static block I provide a print statement which says static block, and if I run this code, see, first the static block is getting printed and then main method. So any particular statements provided inside this static block will be executed before the main method. And if you have a static variable inside this class, let's say static int x, and you need to declare it. So sorry, we declared already here. We need to initialize it. So you can initialize the variable here x equal to, let's say, 1, and you can print here static block, and you can print the value of x as well. We need to provide here plus. Let's run this code. See, static block 1, because the value we have assigned to x is 1. So in this way you can answer this question, that static block will be executed before the main method. And moving towards the last question that we will cover in this video, what if static modifier is removed from the signature of the main method? So we already learned that main method is also a static method because we make use of static keyword here, and that's why we don't need to create the object for the main method. It is directly called by the class name, so it saves memory. So that's why the main method is always static. And what does the question says? What if the static modifier is removed from the signature of main method? So program will compile, but however at runtime it will throw an error, no such method error, because internally it will search for a static method, and if you remove the static keyword, so it will be a normal method. So that's why you will get error, no such method error. Let's see in the practical implementation. Let's say I removed here public void main. Let's run this code. So see, we are not getting any error here, right? But when you run this code, it says main method is not static in class demo. Please define the main method as public static void main. So that is the answer here. We will get no such method errors when we remove the static modifier from the main method. So that's it in this video. We will cover another interview topics in the next video. Thank you for watching.